Well, hello. So this is Troy Francis. I'm joined by Dr. Silk. We're here in a top secret cigar lounge in Warsaw. And what I want to talk about in this video, what we want to talk about in this video, is the scientific underpinnings of seduction. Now, for too long in the online community dedicated to dating and helping guys to navigate the dating sphere, there's been a lack of scientific rigor, I think it's fair to say, in terms of what's been taught. Now, a lot of guys have banged on about evolutionary psychology, and obviously that has its place, but they're missing a big part of the jigsaw puzzle, right? And actually, and what Dr. Silk is here to talk about, and what he teaches, is a much more rigorous, peer-reviewed scientific approach to communication. Okay, so just how would you describe, what's gone wrong as far as the study of seduction is concerned, and what we're doing to rewrite to solve the problem?
The thing is that, when the whole pickup community actually started, it was most of the time to take real action.
Yes.
Yeah, and then in order to be able to take action, we need to have something tangible to go for.
Yes.
And what was that tangible so-called theory that I had before that was mostly backed by common sense? That was the mystery method, basically.
So the mystery, when you think about the mystery method, a lot of it was underpinned by references to evolutionary psychology, wasn't it? And it was like, this was the primordial reason for why women behave like this, why men behave like this. So if you do these things, trigger these attraction switches, then you're going to generate interest from the woman. But that is, as you say, that's sort of based on more gut instinct and common sense, maybe, than actual rigorous.
Yes, absolutely.
Scientific principles.
I would say that because we have lots of leading scientists that have been actually looked into that kind of area, and there is definitely no scientific backing, sort of, but it do has its place when it comes to common sense and what we actually, sort of guessing things to be, but there is no scientific backing at all.
There is. It has to be said though, there is value in taking action. Simply taking action.
Yeah.
That at least that got people out of the house and going and doing something. And some of these things, like for example, not putting the woman on a pedestal, behaving as the prize, behaving as the selector rather than the one to be selected. Those things have some value, right, in terms of dating.
Yeah, it do have some value, but in order to achieve that kind of mindset and then actually apply, practical structure in order to achieve that becomes unnatural, and it doesn't go really in line of who you actually are.
I think the big problem, the big elephant that has always been in the room and has never left the room since like the early 2000s is that you've got to have something to say, right? When you see that beautiful girl over there across the bar, you want to go over and talk to her, you want to get to know her, you want to date her, maybe, be intimate with her, have a relationship, whatever. You've got to be able to say something, right? You've got to be able to go and talk to her. And that is the big problem that I think that people in the dating sphere have been trying to solve, really, since the early days.
Absolutely.
What do you actually say? Now, back in the day, what they would do would provide scripts, and effectively you'd almost learn this stuff verbatim and go and say that. Then it became a bit looser, but sort of structured, like, okay, well, this is the fundamental pattern that the conversation has to follow. But none of that was really solve the problem of being authentic.
Yeah, exactly. In the scientific term, we call it instrumental language. So what they actually be teaching you is actually to rewire your whole nervous system to something new in order to fit into that time's modern world when it comes to seduction and actually meeting women. And it's actually quite dangerous to use an instrumental language, which is actually taught in behaviors that doesn't go, hand in hand with yourself. So there is a conflict, in your nervous system of how you actually should be and how you should behave. And I think it's not until like 10 years ago when people find out like, oh, but this is not actually working for me because I'm not that person. It's just like
how would you define
a shell of who you are.
Yeah, I understand, but how would you define instrumental language? What do you really mean by that?
Instrumental language is actually when you have more or less a train in behavior of someone you're actually not. And if you're going to go into a deeper level, it's almost like rewiring your nervous system to become someone you're not, basically. And then you're just doing it repeatedly, so the brain has the conflict of who are you actually and what you're actually doing.
And this is the
so
problem.
that is like the instrumental part of, of reprogramming your brain, basically.
And this goes back to the question of value, doesn't it? Because we talk about dating as being a value exchange, which kind of is. You know, you have a certain amount of value, however that's defined, and you're bringing that to the table, and she has her value as well, and it's sort of like, okay, do we match up with this? But I think the issue with the dating advice, and the issue, to be fair, that a lot of the mainstream has had with this kind of stuff over the years as well, is that these guys are pretending to be something they're not. They're pretending to have value that perhaps they don't actually have in real life. And in a sense, it's manipulative because they're always pretending to be somebody that they're not, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And one of the most dangerous part of the whole thing is like they actually going from themselves in order to attract and connect with other people. Starting with themselves, which is actually completely wrong start to start with.
Okay, yeah.
Then we also have like, you know, the game has actually evolved during the time. So after, you know, the mystery method time, when they have this instrumental language process with a lot of routines, basically all the way from the start till the end, they're now going in and actually made the natural game instead.
Yes.
And that is also backfires sort of, because I mean we all have to work, you know, on ourselves in an area that really matters, and in order to really do that, we actually have to use the real theory that is scientific backed to do so. And I think, yeah, go ahead.
Well, there's a difference, because guys will sort of, you know, you had the original game stuff where it's like, right, learn these scripts, say these lines, and then other guys are like, no, that's nonsense, just be yourself. Just go in, exercise social freedom, and just be yourself, and let the chips fall where they may. But that's not very helpful either.
No, it's not, because the brain very easily can detect, you know, success with failure. And I mean, if there is something that you have to work on in terms of true scientific backed communication, we have to work on those things. And if you're actually going out and being completely yourself without understanding the rules of life, basically,
yeah,
and how we work in terms of human nature principles, it can backfire as well. So the main part of the whole is actually to learn right and then do right. But with that said, what I mean with learn right is actually something that actually going to make you more absolutely yourself than ever before. So we're actually going to the other direction of actually being yourself to the maximum, rather than going out from yourself and be someone else.
Right. But the method of getting there is, as you said, it's something that you need to apply yourself to study, right? It's not as easy as just to walk over and say, hey, I'm Troy and I like sitting on the couch and eating Cheetos and watching Netflix, right? I mean, that might be being myself, but it's not going to be very attractive, right?
No, it's not. So the key point is actually to learn how to be genuinely interested toward another person.
Do you like Cheetos as well? You could say, do you like Cheetos and Netflix as well?
Yeah, exactly. Do you like it?
But no, but that's the thing, right? That's the thing. So it's not, but of course there's more to it than that. But that's the thing. It's sort of, for most of us, it has to be learned.
Yeah,
right.
You have to do, because now I'm talking about studies and scientific backed papers that are coming from Harvard University and Harvard Business School. So we're talking about scientific papers from the most prestigious schools in the whole world, and specifically in the US. And what the researchers have found out in Harvard University and Harvard Business School is actually what actually triggers us as human beings, and what kind of chemical reaction in the brain are activating in the conversation itself. And we actually have been dissecting it and really see what is it that actually triggers human beings, and specifically women. Yeah.
Fascinating stuff. So look, if you want to learn more about this, we've got more videos on this topic coming out on my channel over the next weeks and months. But equally, if you want to have some personal tuition with myself and Dr. Silk about this, then get in touch. My email is troy@realtroyfrancis.com. Just drop me an email. We can discuss it. We can get on a call with you, and we can talk about how we can help you to progress this area of your life. But in the meantime, fascinating as always. We'll see you in the next video.